Hey everyone, Lee Burkhardt here, and welcome to another episode of Hands On with Reef.
One of the most common questions we're often asked is how I should clean and maintain my underwater camera equipment. So on today's episode, we're going to offer some of our very best tips and tricks for keeping that underwater camera gear of yours in great shape, before, during, and after the dive.
So let's get started by first taking a closer look at our pre-dive maintenance tips. The O-ring is your only barrier between the inside of the underwater housing and your camera equipment. It's perhaps the most important piece of equipment to maintain and keep clean.
Start by removing the O-ring from the housing and any O-rings from your ports and extension rings. This does not need to be difficult. You can use a plastic guitar tip or even a plastic credit card to remove the O-ring from the channel. The key here is never to use sharp metal objects like flathead screwdrivers, knives, tweezers, as these will likely cut and damage the O-ring. Next, inspect the O-ring for any cuts, dents, or defects. If you find one, replace it. With the O-ring inspected, clean the O-ring by simply pulling it through your fingers gently. This will pull off any debris like sand, grit, or hair stuck onto the O-ring. Your next step is to lubricate the O-ring. A little goes a long way here. Just the small amount shown here on my finger is plenty for this large housing O-ring, for example. Apply the lubricant to the O-ring by gently pulling it through your fingers until it's evenly coated around the entire O-ring. You shouldn't see any large white gobs of lubricant anywhere. Lastly, with the O-ring lubricated, place them back onto your housing, ports, and extension rings.
We're often asked how often you should clean these O-rings during a dive trip. The short and simplest answer is anytime you're exposing those O-rings to air. Taking off the back of the housing for a media card or battery change, clean and lubricate the O-ring. Swapping out the lens and taking off the front port, clean and lubricate the O-ring. I think you get the idea. The important takeaway here is that cleaning and lubricating those O-rings only takes a few minutes and is an easy way to ensure your camera equipment is safe from a potential flood.
Too many times we'll see people come back after a full day of shooting with black blemishes all over their images due to a chunk of hair, dirt, or debris stuck to the lens or inside of the port. Inspect and clean the lens and inside of the port you're intending to use for the day. A simple lint-free microfiber cloth with some cleaning solution is all you need for this. Blowers are also great tools as well, and will get debris off without even having to touch the lens.
One of the most common situations that can cause a flood is rushing to get your camera together before a dive, and forgetting an important step, such as an O-ring, battery, or other essential component. The key here is not to rush it. Take your time to build your camera in a stress-free and clean environment.
You can set up your camera equipment the night before, the morning of, whichever works best for you.
Flooding expensive camera equipment is any diver's worst nightmare.
Thankfully, many of the latest underwater housings feature some type of vacuum pre-check system. We've covered how to use vacuum pre-check systems on a variety of housings in the past, and I'll include links to those in the video descriptions below for you.
What all of these systems have in common is they provide a way to verify your camera rig has a watertight seal and is ready to dive before you even enter the water. They are excellent tools, so utilize them.
We've seen customers skip this step completely, and it's perhaps the best tool in your arsenal to ensure against any kind of flooding.
In addition, it's worthwhile to note that the longer you let the vacuum test sit, the better chance it has of detecting a potential slow leak. Try to give your vacuum pre-check test at least 20 to 30 minutes before you enter the water. Even better, let it sit for several hours or even overnight if you can. We've all done it. Hopped into the water with a depleted camera battery, the media card not installed, or simply just left the lens cap on inside the housing.
So on that note, always perform a full function test on your equipment once you finish building it out. This means powering on the camera, lighting, and any other accessories, and taking a test photo or rolling a test video clip. This ensures that you have your batteries in, everything's powered, media cards are installed, and your lighting is working properly.
Community rinse tanks on a dive boat are a great way to give your gear a freshwater rinse after a dive, but don't leave your camera soaking in there. More cameras get flooded in these community rinse bins than in open water. You've got other people placing their cameras in the same bin, the boats bouncing around on the waves and weather. It's just simply a recipe for disaster. Equipment can be easily banged up, glass ports scratched, or housing latches broken open.
Instead, simply give your camera a good dunk and then place it on the boat's camera table if available, wrapped in a towel or a dedicated camera bag. On that note, these soft-sided cooler bags we carry make an excellent tool for carrying and storing your camera gear on the dive boat. They feature a thick, durable padding and can easily fit an entire mirrorless camera rig with lighting. Once you get off the boat, simply just fill it with water and you have your own personal rinse tank.
Nothing's worse than a big old scratch through your nice new expensive dome port.
The most common place you're going to scratch that expensive piece of glass of yours is on the way out of the water and back onto the boat. Almost any dome port or water contact lens you use will include some type of neoprene cover for the glass.
We'd suggest actually going into the water with this neoprene cover attached, rather than leaving it up at the surface.
Once you're in the water, slide that cover in a BC pocket, up your wrist, or clip it off to your BC and start shooting. On your way back up, reattach the cover at your safety stop before you reach the boat. This ensures that once you're hanging the camera back up, that glass is completely protected from all the obstacles between the swim platform and your camera bag.
As we all know, salt water has harsh effects on metal. Post-dive, just like all of your dive gear, you'll want to give your camera gear a nice freshwater soak. Let it soak for several minutes if you can, and make sure to get that saltwater residue off there.
Once you've rinsed the camera equipment, rather than letting it air dry, dry everything off with a towel or cloth. This is especially important for optical glass ports and water contact lenses, as the fresh water we just rinsed with will often have minerals and saltwater residue residing in it that will leave water spots and other stains on the glass if it's left to air dry.
Drying your camera equipment with a towel not only ensures that you keep that glass in good condition, but also that your underwater housing looks as nice as the day you bought it.
You may have a wet lens flip holder, bayonet mounts, and other accessories that are threaded into your flat ports. If left in place, these accessories will eventually seize into place with the saltwater corrosion. To avoid this, after rinsing your equipment, remove these from the threaded ports and also wipe them down with a towel.
So, how often should you service your underwater housing? This question cannot be definitively answered. Simply put, the more you dive, the more often you should service it.
For most, a good rule of thumb is approximately every 2 to 3 years or 250 to 300 dives. Your use and care should be factored into that, along with any problems you may have noticed with your housing, such as buttons, levers, and command wheels that feel stiff, broken, or stuck in place. Overall, I hope today's video has been helpful for any of you looking for some great general tips and tricks for maintaining your underwater camera equipment.
Now, if you liked today's video, you'd like to see more content like this from us, or if you're just curious and learning more about underwater imaging, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons found just below the video here. Of course, feel free to leave any questions in the comments section below, and to check out more of our other articles, videos, and other content, you can visit our website and just click on the Learn tab found along the top of the homepage. Well, I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more cool content to come soon, and we'll see you on the next one.